You're grieving someone who's still alive. They didn't die. They didn't move away. They're still here, still breathing, still posting on social media. But the person you loved, that person is gone, because that person never existed. You're mourning someone they pretended to be. And that might be the cruelest kind of loss, because at least when someone dies, you get closure. People understand your grief. They bring you flowers. They ask if you're okay. But this is invisible grief. You're walking around carrying the weight of a funeral no one else can see, because to everyone else, they're still here. They just don't understand that the person standing in front of you isn't the same person you fell in love with. That person was a performance, and the show is over. Think about it. The person you met in the beginning, the one who texted you good morning every day without fail, who remembered the small things, your coffee order, the name of your childhood dog, the story you told once about your grandmother. That person made you feel seen, heard, chosen, like you were the only person in the room even when you were in a crowd. That person showed up, consistently, made plans and kept them, said, "I miss you," and meant it, talked about the future like you were a guarantee, not a maybe, made you feel safe enough to be vulnerable, safe enough to believe that this, finally, was different, that they were different. But here's what you're starting to realize. That wasn't who they were. That was the audition. That was them trying to win you. And once they had you, once you were committed, once you loved them enough that leaving felt impossible, the mask came off. Slowly, so slowly you didn't even notice at first. The good morning texts became sporadic, then stopped completely. The plans started getting canceled. They were tired, busy, stressed. Something always came up. The future talk got vague. The effort disappeared. The person who used to pursue you started making you feel like you were chasing them. And the worst part, when you brought it up, they made you feel crazy. What are you talking about? I'm the same person. You're being dramatic. You're too needy. But you're not crazy. You're not imagining it. The person changed, or more accurately, they stopped pretending, because the version of them you fell in love with was curated, intentional, temporary. It was who they needed to be to get you, not who they actually were. And now you're left holding on to a memory of someone who was never real. So you're grieving, but you can't explain it to anyone. How do you tell people you're heartbroken over someone who's still in your life? How do you explain that you're mourning a version of them that doesn't exist anymore? You keep looking back, trying to find the exact moment they stopped being that person. Was it 3 months in? 6 months? A year? When did the switch happen? Or was it always a switch? Were they ever actually that person, or were you just seeing what they wanted you to see? And that question haunts you, because if they were pretending the whole time, what does that say about your judgment? But here's what you need to understand. You weren't naive, you weren't stupid, you weren't blind. You were hopeful. And hope isn't a weakness. It's not your fault that they showed you a version of themselves that wasn't sustainable. The hard truth is this: some people are incredible at beginnings. They know exactly how to make you feel special, chosen, safe. They know what to say, when to say it, how to make you believe this is real. And in that moment, maybe it is real for them too. But the difference is they can't maintain it, because it's not who they are. And once the newness wears off, once the dopamine fades, once keeping up the performance feels like work, they revert back to who they actually are. Someone inconsistent, emotionally unavailable. And you're left confused, hurt, wondering what you did wrong, wondering why you weren't enough to make them want to stay that person. But listen carefully. You didn't do anything wrong, and it's not about being enough, because the person you're grieving doesn't exist. You can't make someone be a version of themselves they're not, and that's the acceptance you're fighting, that the person you loved was temporary. So what do you do now? How do you mourn someone who's still here? First, you stop waiting for them to come back. That person isn't coming back because that person was never real. Second, you grieve, actually grieve. Let yourself feel the loss. Cry over the person you thought they were. Mourn the future you thought you'd have. Not because you're weak, because you're human. Third, you stop romanticizing the past. Yes, the beginning was beautiful, but that doesn't mean it was real. And clinging to those memories keeps you stuck. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can let go. And finally, you choose yourself. You walk away from the person they are now. Not because you stopped loving the person they were, but because the person they were doesn't exist, and you can't build a future with a ghost. The right person won't make you mourn who they used to be, because they'll show up consistently. So let yourself grieve, but don't let grief keep you stuck. Mourn the person they pretended to be, and then release them. You're not mourning the end of something real. You're mourning the end of something you thought was real. And that's the distinction that will set you free. Comment the moment you realized the person you loved was just a performance. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you there.